Welcome, G-Captain readers. I am Captain John Conrad, founder and CEO of gcaptain.com, and I am filming this video to tell you why the $2 trillion stimulus infrastructure bill the Biden administration is trying to push out is going to be an epically big fail, and how we can take some lessons from this little device, old school record player, in order to fix America. No, I'm serious. This sounds crazy. This sounds like a joke, but we're going to jump right into it because I'm going to set a timer this time. You guys have said I ramble on. All right. So last week, to recap, we had the Ever Given container ship. Let me bring up that picture. Ever Given container ship got stuck in the Suez Canal. Now, this container ship right here, or is it up there? It holds 20,000 TEUs shipping containers. This mega ship building started with the Maersk Triple E class, and I was aboard for the launch of the first Maersk Triple E in Samsung, South Korea, about 10 years ago. Now, we all know that this thing's big, but we have no idea how big. 20,000 TEUs hold twice as many containers as the last generation 10 years ago of container ships, which are about 10,000 TEUs. Now, in order to do that, they increased the length from 900 to 1,000 feet to 1,300 feet. 1,300 feet long these mega ships are. But in order to do that, what people don't know is the weight. A 10,000 TEU container ship is 50,000 tons dead weight, where the Ever Given is around 200,000 tons. So we increased the length and the width by about 25-30%. We increased the cargo capacity, the amount of cargo, we doubled it to get to the mega ships. But we increased the carrying capacity and the weight of the entire system 400%. Now, this is critically important because this is what people don't understand. And I'm not just calling out the Biden administration and Pete Buttigieg and the Department of Transportation, but I hope they watch this video because their transportation infrastructure bill will be a giant fail if they don't understand this basic point I'm going to bring up. And on top of that, it's not just them, it's our Silicon Valley leaders. I'm calling out Elon Musk because Elon Musk is a man of physics. And Elon Musk has SpaceX, and he basically started Tesla in order to compensate for the amount of emissions that his rockets generate. People don't realize the immense amount of power it takes to launch a rocket in the air. And I think it's some statistic, I forget the exact, but it was like all the Teslas, savings of all the Teslas is like not enough to compensate for one major payload of SpaceX. That's how much power it requires, fuel it requires to launch that SpaceX rocket up in the air. Well, we don't have a rocket problem in the United States, but we have this mega container ship. When the Ever Given gets into the port in Newark or Long Beach, it drops these 20,000 containers in the port, and people don't realize the destruction it has. And the economic benefits. Now, this is the shipping container. And what people don't realize about the shipping container is about anything invented in the history of humanity, out of all the inventions, we learned from Mark Levinson's book, The Box, which is the history of the shipping container, that no invention has pulled more people out of poverty than the container ship box. This has been revolutionized, and there's food and materials and clothing that is fed and clothed and housed the world inside this box. Revolutionary. And this is relatively new invention. This container, right? Let's go back to the container. Was invented by Malcolm McLean right after World War II. And it's, again, the most important invention for improving the quality of life of humans around the world, not just the United States. But there are some problems with the container. And when 20,000 of these containers are dropped at one time in the port, you need 20,000 trucks standing by, idling in the port, ready to take this shipping container and move it. It's got to move. And what happens when it goes in the port? We think Malcolm McLean said originally it's going to go from the factory to the ship. It's going to go ship across to somewhere like Newark, and then it's going to go from there to the end store. So you'll have the shipping container going to directly to Home Depot. But that's not what's inside a shipping container. He originally thought that all the orders for Home Depot would be in here. So there would be wood and nails and anything that they ordered for that week would be in one container. But that turned out to be inefficient. So you'll have one container that is just nails. And you'll have one container that is just food, right? So when this mega ship goes into port, it drops these 20,000 containers, and they have to go to a factory, a warehouse. And in this warehouse, all that material has to be pulled out, and it's got to be put on the second most important invention of the last 50 years, and that is this, the shipping pallet. We all know what the shipping pallet looks like, and I hope you can still hear me. The shipping pallet, incredibly important. And then from the shipping pallet, it is brought into our cities and everywhere else. But here's the problem, all right? And this is why we need an infrastructure bill. I'm going to bring in, let me bring this up. This is the problem we're facing. We need an infrastructure bill because our roads and our bridges like this, and let me try to increase the sizes. Bridges like this are breaking apart. Our roads are breaking apart. The reason our roads are breaking apart is because of the weight of these shipping containers being put on trucks. That is the cause, the weight of trucks. And you'll see flimsier bridges or local bridges will have those strict weight guidelines you cannot go over unless there's a certain weight. But we don't have scales all around the country. We only have them on some highways. So these trucks go over to these bridges that aren't designed for it, and this is what happens. We have destruction of our infrastructure. And now we have a critical need to rebuild our infrastructure. But we're not solving the core problem, right? And the core problem is this. What's up? What's up, G-Captain readers? What's up? What's up, guys? All right, so I'm not going to bore you with the numbers and the physics, but this is the problem. Sorry, pointing the wrong way. This is the problem with the $2 trillion stimulus bill. All right, what's up? 1 kilogram lifted 1 meter. And my wife made fun of me. It's got my weights. All right, this is 2.3 kilogram. Imagine this is 1 kilogram. To lift this 1 meter, 3 point something feet, all right, that requires 10 Newton meters of force. And if I do this in 1 second, that's 10 watts. Now you look at Tesla and everything's now measured in watts, watt hours, and these batteries and the efficiency. It's all about the watts. How much are you moving? How high? And how quickly? Because this is where Silicon Valley and the Elon Musk are being complete idiots right now. Because I'm going to bring something else over here. This right here is my drone. All right, it's a beautiful little drone. I love this little thing. All right, I can go take nice pictures of ships. This is what Silicon Valley is now spending millions of dollars investing in drones, and not just drones, but electric scooters and other silly means of transportation. And you have all these articles about how your Amazon deliveries are going to be set on drones. Not to mention how loud these are and the surveillance problems and your privacy concerns. But here's the problem. We got our weight. We got our drone. Is that taken off with just 3 kilograms? You can see it's the sensor's immediately saying it's too heavy. No. What's up? What's up is the problem. People say, what does that have to do with shipping, John? Well, people think that the efficiency of ships is from the low friction environment. So if you go down to your local port and you push a 100-foot ship, you can actually push it. And that 100-foot boat could weigh, thousands of pounds. But you can push it because the water is relatively frictionless. And people think that that is where the efficiency of ships come from. Because ships are 3 times more efficient than trains. Ships are 10 times more efficient. So they release 1/10 the carbon emissions and use 1/10 the fuel as trucks. And they're 100th or 100 times more efficient than planes. And I don't even know, what is it, 1,000 times more efficient than helicopters, which is basically what a drone is. And why is that? Well, let me bring this up the power, because there are 2 elements to the cost of moving material. My wife said, are you doing a workout video? No, I'm not doing a workout video. But here we go. We got 10 pounds, 4.5 kilos on each side. So we got 20 pounds. And I'm lifting it. Oh. And it's starting to get heavy, right? And I can continue to do that. But this is taking a lot of watts, a lot of power. So I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to get it fuel. Part 1 of the problem. Part 2 of the problem is I cost money, right? So let's go. Let me have a little bit of my fuel, and I can re-lift this up. But again, what does this have to do about ships? I thought it was about friction. So we think about the friction problem, and we think trains are relatively frictionless. So let's look at this. Pretend this is a road. All right. I got my road here, and I got a truck. And we invented this thing called the wheel, right? And the wheel lowers the friction. Look at this. Truck moves almost frictionless. Trains move almost frictionless. Trucks are a lot more expensive because for every box, you need at least 1 driver. And sometimes with the sleep hours, you need 2. But trains, you can get a whole bunch of these together, and the wheels are relatively frictionless. So trains are relatively frictionless, and boats, water, are relatively frictionless. But again, it's what is not just lifting it. It's the speed of lifting it, right? So, and it's speed and momentum. What makes trains more efficient than trucks is the fact that they don't have to stop. Trucks have brakes. And every time you brake, you have to start back up the motor and start from scratch and overcome that friction and go. That's why trains are more efficient. But there's a problem. And this is the problem that Buttigieg, Biden, and the shipping companies do not understand. So I'm going to take this. This is a nice, beautiful, even road. But we got to get over on a bridge that we're going to destroy with our weight. right? So we need an on-ramp. Now, I can do this. I can do this all day. This does not require, I can do this for hours, not even take a bite out of my bar. But let's get a nice on-ramp onto this material here. And now, it's easier than lifting it straight up as a drone does, or a plane. Plane has to go straight up, or a helicopter has to go straight up. That's why it's 100 times less efficient. But this, now it's not as, I'm starting to get tired here. I'm starting to get tired. So, people don't understand is the efficiency, the watts up of a ship. A ship is 10 times more efficient than a truck because there are no hills in the water. You eliminate this formula. Let's go back to the formula here. All right. 1 kilogram. You put your 1 kilogram on the ship and you don't have to lift it a meter because there are no hills. So there's no newton meters and there are no watts. And ships tend to go slower, so there's energy efficiency there as well. All right. So what does this have to do with my record player? And look, let me bring this over here, and I'm going to show you something beautiful, hopefully. If I click on the right one. I'm going to bring it over here. You see that? My Tape America. Whew, this is a good band. And I got my old school cassette deck. This is from Marantz, but the original design, they licensed it from Sony. And Sony is important because Sony has the answer to the problem. Sony has the solution to our infrastructure bill. How are we doing on time? 16 minutes. All right. So let's take out this tape. And remember, before tapes, there were giant reels of taped material. And people like tapes because tapes are completely analog, right? That's why they were popular. And as we put this in, we'll see if it works. Sunshine and the rain are longer, nights are longer, and moon. It's a perfect song. Why? Because our most congested, busiest port in the entire country is Los Angeles, Long Beach. And what highway goes to Los Angeles, Long Beach? The Ventura Highway. So what the hell does this, though, have to do with ships? Well, the problem, if we go back to the shipping container, is this container weighs a lot. And it's actually banned from going into downtown, places like downtown Manhattan, where our congestion is the worst. 70% of all carbon emissions come from our cities, and 70% of our cities is from trucks. Trucks delivering freight, but again, they took all the material out of this container, they rearranged it, they put it on the pallets, and then they bring it into city in less than truckload. So this thing's an efficiency machine. It is packed from top to bottom, front to back. It is packed tight with materials, but once it goes on the pallet, they can only get a few pallets in the truck. It's mostly dead space. So we're sending these trucks, and each truck has a driver with a lot of dead space in the back, and they're going up hills to get on the bridge to go over the city, and they're ruining the bridges. That's it. That's the problem. So what does Sony have to do with this problem? Well, Sony made their money. Let me bring this back up. Sony made their money through the miniaturization. Miniaturization. So if this is the shipping container, and this box is big and heavy, right? We got to move this on. The box concept is good, just like the tapes of the old analog recording tapes were good, but why not miniaturize them for use in the city so you can walk around with them? Pallet-sized containers. And this is what Zulu Associates and a few others are trying to do in the city. They're trying to put these pallets and move the pallets right from the warehouse to the city. But we can even do better. If we miniaturize the box, then we can put just the material. I ordered index cards. These index cards go on the box. Because, take New York. You have Amazon's warehouse in Staten Island. Well, it takes hours for the delivery truck and to the UPS sorting facility in Manhattan, and then it's got to be distributed by UPS and everything else, and it takes hours. But if we could get a little box, we could just go across the harbor. And when it gets to the other end of the harbor, we open the box and take out the contents. And then, local delivery drivers, this whole little box could be pulled on electric bikes, or little delivery drivers could take the contents out of the packages out of the box, deliver it to your doorstep. And then we have a carbon efficient problem. Instead of that truck driving all the way around the harbor, let's think from Newark to Brooklyn is about 19 miles and takes hours. Hours from, if you order something in Brooklyn to get from the Amazon warehouse, Staten Island, it's going to take hours. It's 19 miles. If we cut right across from the Amazon warehouse right to the Amazon facility in Red Hook, or the new UPS facility in Red Hook, that's 1.9 miles. So 1/10 the distance. And then we use 1/10 the amount of energy. So it's 100 times savings. Not to mention the fact that cargo ferries carrying small boxes instead of the big, big containers, all right? The big shipping containers, which are illegal to bring into Brooklyn. If these are shipped on cargo ferries with electric drives, you can even save more. So minimum 100 times savings in that one example. So that is the solution. If Biden, everything in this $2 trillion stimulus package is going to, because we are still building the roads for the shipping containers, and those shipping containers, we can spend $2 trillion, but in 10 years, 20 years, we're going to be in the same place reinforcing these roads because it's a weight problem. This is a physics problem, and this is why I get frustrated at Elon Musk, because he goes back to first principles, and now he's talking about boring under the city and for these underground tunnels to move Tesla drivers, and he doesn't even talk about freight. But again, this weight has to go down the tunnel, across the city, and back up the tunnel. Ships, cargo ferries are at least 10 times efficient because, bing, 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 there are no hills. So if Buttigieg wants to really improve the country, if we want to do something other than just completely waste this $2 trillion, then Biden and Buttigieg and the DOT has to ask the question, hey, what's up? What's up? It's just a physics problem. Stop lifting those weights up hills, up on-ramps, because water is self-leveling, and there are no hills on the ocean in our inland rivers, our marine highways, and something called short sea shipping. So I hope that explains it to you, why the $1 trillion stimulus will fail big. And we got to ask, why do we even allow these 20,000 ships into our containers? At what point did Maersk get so powerful that they can command billions of dollars in bridge raisings like we did in Bayonne and dredging to dump 20,000 containers on us, when the solution is so simple? Miniaturization and using our inland waterways. Thank you so much. I am Captain John Conrad with G Captain. I hope this makes sense, and have a good weekend.